Hello everyone and welcome to the next episode of the PokeClone tutorial. This one we're going to do quite a big thing, a big job, which is where we're going to create the generator for the monsters. So as you know, Pokemon doesn't have just a set level. Every single one will be randomized to an extent using IV stats, which is hidden stats behind the scenes. So the first thing we need to do is we need to go into our monster info, which is our individual monster, not the species. And we need to create a new variable, and we'll call this one potential. And you need to make sure it's a set to stats struct. And I'm just going to drag it up to below stats, save that, and then we can close our structs. Next thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to create a new blueprint, which is an actor, which will be called monster generator underscore BP, and this will be an invisible actor, which we're only going to add script to. After everything's done, it can be removed because it's not needed anymore. It's purely set as a proxy, so we can create a generator, then disappear. We need to create one variable, which will be species, and you want to set that to name and make that editable and exposed on spawn. So that way, when we have anything that creates the actor. So just as an example, let's get this overworld actor over here. And if we change that to the monster generator, you can see we can change the species there. So first of all, we need to get all the information for that species. So we can create a new function, and we call get species info. So the first thing we need to do is we need to get all the information from that species. We can create that as a function in here, but it's going to be something that we can use quite often. So we're going to put that into our game instance. So what we need to do first, we need to find a way of getting the information from the species. Now we can set that here. We can put it in the game instance, but because we're going to be using it quite a lot over the course of the series, what we're going to do is we're going to create a library. So if you open up your content browser and right click, and under blueprints, you have a blueprint function library, which is what we're going to create. So we're just going to call this, whilst it auto saves, PokeClone function library. This one, get monster species info, will be a pure function, which means it doesn't have any execute buttons when you call it. And we want one input, which will be name or species of type name. And off of here, we want to get data table row, choose your species table, and add a return node, and then drag the out row down the bottom there. Compile and save. So now if you go back to the overworld actor, you can just type in get monster species info, and it shows it up there. Grab the species, and we can set that as a variable. So all we've done so far is take the species and get the info. So if I was to print string, we can break this and we can get any info from here, which in this case is just going to be let's get the type. And if I drag a monster generator into the world and give it sphere, Push play, you should see water. Type in cylinder. It also comes up water. Let me just double check. Okay, sphere should come up as grass. Because I put that in the wrong place. Make sure you do this in the monster generator, not the overworld actor like I did. So now it says water, and if we change that to sphere, grass. Okay, so that is the first step. Next up, we need to get a random IV or random potential. So we can create a new function, randomize potential value. And we want a random integer in range from 0 to, so Pokemon has used 31. Just for this series, we're going to change it to 50. And we have 6 stats to randomize, so we use 6. We can make a stat struct, add them all in, and add a return node. Connect it up, compile and save. Go back to the event graph. We can randomize the potential values. And just so we can see the difference between the species, what we're going to do for the stat calculation, which we will be changing. So calculate stats. We are going to just multiply the base by the species, by the potential. So we're going to go to our event graph. We're going to make this potential a variable. And now we want to grab our species info. We want to break our stats. And we also want to get our potential, and we want to break those. So we're just going to multiply all of these by each other. The reason why we're not jumping straight into the math is because you might want to choose a different formula for yours. Pokemon's one is very complicated, but we will be copying that and following along. But for your game, if you want to create a new game, rather than just mess around with a PokeClone, then it's probably best to make sure you've got your own formula. Same again, we can make stat struct. Fill in all the details. Return node. Compile and save. So we can calculate the stats. And provide that to a variable. So at the moment, we are getting the species, randomizing its IVs, its potential, and then calculating the stats from those IVs. And what we'll do from there is we shall print, and then we'll get our format. S and click to get a sequence. We'll break the stats out just so we can read them. And plug everything in. So it's going to create the details, create everything, and then it's going to set up the stats and print them. So we print it out. We've got quite a high stats. What I will do is I'll change the add to party just so we can spawn actor from class, monster generator. Just so we can do multiple. Make sure you have a transform there. Doesn't matter if there's anything in it because it's not going anywhere, but you can just spawn it. So you can see that we have a random stat. We can go further on this as well, where we can add this monster that we've just generated onto our storage. So there's a couple of things there so we can actually see any difference. First of all, we need to choose a level, which we can just set with a random node, so random integer range from 0 to 100, because we haven't worked out any stats yet, and promote this to level. This is going to be the very last thing we do. And then we can make monster info. We can make the monster ID a random integer in range. Make it a 7-digit number, so between a million and 9999999. We want the name to be the species. We want the species to be the species. We want the level to be the level. We want the stats to be the stats. We want the potential to be the potential. And current HP we want to be the, for now, we can leave it at 0, but later will be the max HP. So if we promote that to variable, we have final monster info. So if you wanted to, we can grab final monster, break that, and then grab the stats out of there. So now from here we can get final monster info, and we can plug that into our add monster to storage box over there. So I should give it a random level 67, 75, 31, 52, 8, and 38. And again, if we go through to the next world or the next level, it stays. There you have it, guys. That is how we can do our basic monster generation. So hopefully you're enjoying the series so far. Next series we're going to add to this. It's not going to be long before we get onto the actual battling. We've got a few more generation things, a few more tidying up to things to do. And after that, then we are good to go. So again, as usual, thanks for watching. Join the Discord if you like the series, or if you have any other questions. And I hope to see you guys soon. Thank you very much.